session. Um, and then our agenda is we'll start off with a 20-minute presentation, and then we'll dedicate 10 minutes to Q&A, and then we can spend the remainder of our time sharing resources. And so without further ado, I will turn things over to today's presenter. Her name is Miss Joetta Mahan. Joetta is one of my favorite people on the planet. She is also the mom of a high school junior with autism, and she is also a counselor in training. So who better to share with us how to parent and homeschool with grace during today's very uncertain times. So Joetta, thank you for joining us, and please share your story with us.
Good morning, everyone. Well, parenting with grace, it is more than a mouthful because we as mothers, we feel all the shoes sometimes. And um, it takes a lot. I'm a mom first, and then I work full time and I counsel part time. And so it's managing all of those things without um, limiting the time that I give to him. And I also have a college student who's home, and it's making sure that both of them get enough time and still continue to do all the other things that I need to do. Um, and so I've learned to be very patient. That has been my saving grace, is patience, not allowing myself to become overwhelmed and overly um, emotional or angry about things that are really out of my control. And so now that we're in a situation that is completely out of our control, how do I manage all of those things and still be able to provide a graceful way in doing the things that I need to do for my son who needs me more than anybody else. And so in thinking about that, when Kim asked me to do this, I was like, oh my God, I'm the last person that she needs to ask to do this. But it's all about just being understanding, being patient, because he gets very um, agitated about having to do something. So when I see him becoming overwhelmed with whatever we're working on, then hey, let's do something else. Let's do something fun. Let's watch a movie. He loves Disney movies, so I allow him that time to be able to let release that tension that's building in him. And we all step back, we do our thing, and then we come back to it. It alleviates that um, high energy, and it helps us come back to whatever it is that we're working on. And so patience has become truly my saving grace, to be able to laugh about things that normally I probably would have been really upset or agitated about, that I no longer am agitated or get upset about things that really I cannot control. So we just deal with them as they come. We don't have a structured system because I find that the world is not structured. So I allow him to do it in his time and how he wants to do it, whatever that something that we're working on is, even though, sometimes I collaborate with his teacher a lot because we have formed a relationship. And so I can pick up the phone and call her and say, hey, are we doing this correctly? Is this something that we should be working on, or should we be working on this instead of this? So having that one-on-one relationship with his teacher has been a very good um, added resource to how we handle things at home. And so with that, it is giving me that outlet as well, because sometimes I don't know how to approach something. So I can call her, hey, what would you do if this was the situation in the classroom? How would you handle this? And so being able to bounce off of her and come back to it has also been a way for me to be able to do this gracefully and not be overwhelmed with the process and the changes that have been made, because this is a big change. We don't get up in the morning and go out. Now we get up, we get dressed, and we do all of these things at home. And so that's been an adjustment. So I'm going to open up the floor for questions, or if there's something that you want me to
I,
touch on, Kim.
I would love for you to kind of share just how you transitioned to being a homeschool teacher kind of overnight, and just how that's going.
It's actually going very well. I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? I didn't take the
Mhm.
time to think about, oh, what are we gonna do and how are we gonna do this and if it's gonna be right or wrong. It just it it was like they're gonna be out of school because they went from spring break to being home. So they never went back
Yes.
to school after spring break. So we didn't have a chance to I really didn't have a chance to sit down and process it like, oh, we're gonna set it up this way and we're gonna do it this way. It just kind of was, okay, now school is at home. So what is the plan? Because in the beginning, the teachers didn't have anything to offer for them to be able to work on at home. And
Mm.
because the way that their classroom is structured, each student does something totally different anyway. And so um, understanding that and knowing the types of things that he has been working on at school, it was easy for me to just say, okay, we're going to work on this. This is what you've been doing at school. So one of the things that he's been working on at school is typing and being able to communicate by with the keyboard or on his iPad. Well, his iPad is still at school because
Oh,
because
wow.
he didn't bring it home. So now we have to improvise. We didn't have, I mean, I do have a iPad here, but we don't have everything that's set up for him at school on this iPad. So we found other ways to do math and writing and English and that type of thing. So I just worked with him with things that I knew that he was already working on. And so then reaching out to his teacher saying, these are the things that I'm working on him with. Should I be doing something different or should we continue this? Was just that type of thing. And it never was a planned event. It just kind of fell in my lap. Like today, you're teacher and mom, and you have to work too. So it
Cafeteria
was,
worker, therapist. Yes, you're all of that.
yes. So it happened. It was not, I can't say. I feel like if it had have been a situation where I had the opportunity to sit down and really plan out what was going to take place, it probably would have been a little more structured. But because I didn't have that time to do that, I just went with what I already knew that he was working on, and just and then I have his IEP, so I kind of looked at it a little bit to
Okay.
see what is it that they are working on at school, what are the goals, and how are we going to accomplish those things at home now that he's not going to school. And then I threw in a little bit of things that we have been working on. So we've been teaching him how to do laundry, which he knows how to do. But the part that's difficult for him is to sort it out so that it can be so he can do the laundry. But the whole um, getting the laundry together and putting it in the wash machine and putting the soap in there, he knows how to do that. Our struggle is sorting it out to do that, and then putting the dryer, folding it, and putting it away. So we've added some more of those things like washing dishes, and so those are independent skills that we're trying to teach him along with the things that he's working on at school. So to be able to do that has been a little bit of a challenge, but he's falling right into it. But he thinks that he's supposed to do laundry every day.
Of course. He can come over my house and
Right.
work something out.
Exactly. So yeah. So it has just been um trial and error. Like, okay, let's try this today. And if this doesn't work, then we don't try it again. Or maybe we'll go back to it later on and we'll try it again and see if it works the next time. But it's just working on trying to continue to work on the things that he's doing at school and add in some things that fills the day so that he's just not sitting idle watching TV all day, because that would be ideal for him, is to just watch his Disney cartoons all day long. And he's real comfortable with that in his room and cheering and happy and making all his noise.
Hmm. Now, how did you explain to him about COVID-19, or, why we are, in this state?
Yes, I did. And sometimes I don't know if he really processes that in a way that is clearly understood, but I still always explain to him things that this is why you're at home. This is why we have to do it this way. This is why your brother is home from school. He's usually at school, but now he's home because this is what's happening. And um, he's very attentive, but I don't really know if he's processing it the same as you and I would, because he can't verbally tell me that he understands it. Um, but he's adjusted. He was very happy that his brother was home because they're really close, and so that has also been a saving grace, and that his brother's home too, because his brother can get him to do things that the rest of us can't get him to do. So that has been a help as well. So we work together good as a team in working with him. And it's working out. That's the only thing I can say, is that we've allowed God to guide us and just let it go and just do it in a way that works for us. And I'm sure that for all the moms that's on here that may be struggling with that, they're trying to figure it out, but you just follow your heart. You know your child better than anybody else, and so you just work with them in a way that works for you.
Mhm. And I imagine it's also about managing not only your expectations, but also your emotions, so that, you can, how do you practice self-care so that you can be centered and for him, but not also, but that you can also make sure you don't neglect your own needs.
Whew, that's sometimes I don't. I, I sometimes feel like I'm on cruise control, so I don't really per se take out specific time that I'm gonna do something for myself. So let's say example for yesterday. So I work all day and then I counsel in the evening. So now I'm not going somewhere to do that. Everything is at home. I'm working at home. I'm schooling him at home, and I counsel at home. So all of that is here now. So when I um, take my lunch hour, I go out and I work in the morning. I get him started with, okay, what are we going to work on today? So I get him started in first thing in the morning. Then I come to my desk and I sign on, and I'm in my closet, which is my space where I pray anyway. So, so I come in, I get everything set up and going, get logged in and all of that. And then my lunch hour, I fix breakfast for him. So I get up in the morning and I get him ready. I fix breakfast, and then I come set myself up for the day. Then on my lunch hour, I go back out. I work with him a little bit during my lunchtime, make sure that he's on track with something, help him out with whatever it is that he's doing. And then I guess it is a little structured, but so then I clock out on my day job at 4:30, and then I start counseling at 5 o'clock. So I have 30 minutes in
Wow.
between. I have 30 minutes in between um, my day job and counseling. So in between that time, I get things prepped or ready for dinner, to cook dinner. And I work with him, see what is going on with him, make sure he's good, um, prep my stuff for my dinner. And I come back, I counsel. Then when I'm done with that, then I go and cook dinner and get everybody ready and set up. And so when the eat, so once all of that is done, kitchen cleaning, all of that, then music is usually my take care of me time. So I come in here and I cut my music on, I pray, and that's my relaxation. Bef- and I look up and it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So that's how I self-care. But that works for me. And I'm sure however you do it for yourself is I don't know. That's just works for me. So usually when I'm in the car, my time is the 30 minutes between me getting from work to the counseling center. That's usually my quiet time. So I drive with no music on. And that's my prayer time, getting me my mind mentally prepared, because I always want to be mentally prepared so that I can know the right thing to say to help someone else. So that's my quiet time. So since I don't have that 30-minute quiet time between
Mm-hmm.
signing out from work and going to counsel, because now I have to prep food and all that in between time. So then after it's over with, I have my quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
Or I may pray in between time, like, Lord, I'm getting ready to counsel these people while I'm prepping my food. I need to make sure that my mind is clear and my heart is clear of my own things so that I can assist this person who needs my help.
Okay.
So it's just my self-care, or getting in
Very
the tub for 10, 15, 20 minutes and relaxing and listening to my music while I do that.
great. Good deal. Um, so we're going to open it up. Any questions from anyone else? Any of our attendees? I see a lot of moms represented, and I'm sure we all have some tips or thoughts as we navigate these waters. Okay.
I have a question. My name is Carrie Wilkerson, and I used to be a special education teacher, but now I am vice president of the H&R Block Foundation and the Marion and Henry Block Family Foundation. And I appreciate you allowing me to listen to your call. But I was under the impression that everyone was using virtual school for doing classroom, uh, just doing the school day virtually. Is that not the case?
No, that has not been the case for us yet. They are working on getting that set up, but it hasn't been put in place yet.
And is it okay for me to ask what school your son goes to?
He's at Paseo Academy.
So has KCPS communicated with you at all as far as when to anticipate this getting set up?
Yes, I spoke with his teacher twice last week. I haven't talked to her this week yet, but they are working on putting it together. It just they have not implemented it as of yet.
So what are they saying the challenges are? I mean, why not? I would be all over them. Why not?
The way she explained it to me is that the program that they are trying to implement, many of the students don't have the capability to be able to, I guess, access it. Although my son does, a lot of the students that they work with do not have it. And so they were working on the plan B to get them set up in a different way. So we plan to talk again today. I just haven't heard from her as of yet.
I'm aware that that is a big issue, not only with KCPS, but districts across the entire region. Ms. Mahan, what can I do to help?
At this point, I am not sure, but if you give me some time, or if we can exchange information and let me do some more research to find out what the real problem is and why we can't get this up and running, then I can contact you back and let you know what I found out, and we can work on how you can help us.
Happily. You want to write down my email and cell phone?
Yes.
My email is C as in cat, Wilkerson, WILKERSON at HRBlock, HRBLOCK.com.
Okay.
Am I anything I can do to support you in these efforts? I'd appreciate your insight.
Okay.
Okay. And Carrie,
Thank you so much.
Danielle Dispenza wants to share some information with us as well.
Thank you. I apologize for interrupting. I was just
Oh,
blown
no.
away
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
it's not set up yet. Hey, can I ask one more question, Kim? Are they going to have the end of the school year date the same, or are they changing it because of all this?
I think that we're all kind of in a wait and see mode because, you know, as you can see, the social distancing, the quarantine deadline keeps evolving. And so I think we're all in wait and see mode.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Danielle.
Hi, Kim. Good morning. And
Good
hello.
morning.
Yes. Yes, Ms. Mahan, thank you so much for sharing. I just, if you don't mind asking, I saw another participant, I think, posted on the chat, asking, and please feel free to say no if you don't want to share this level of personal information on whether or not your son is verbal or nonverbal. You just had mentioned the iPad for the communication device. And two parts to this. I also am a KCPS parent. I have a second grader and a fourth grader. So I know that we had gotten packets in the mail. I know next week I'm going to be able to go and pick up a Chromebook for our household to help with doing some of the online school, as you said, once it gets up and away and started. I've also heard from teachers. So all good things moving in the right direction. But I just didn't know specifically for your student, if they're using an iPad at school, especially with perhaps an IEP goal and increasing communication with the iPad, if they would be willing to, or have, if his teacher has mentioned sending that iPad home to continue working on those communication skills with the actual technology that they've been using at school.
So to answer the first question, which no, he is nonverbal. Secondly, the iPad we purchased ourselves, so it actually belongs to him, and the program that is on it, which is I don't know if I pronounced it right because I always struggle with it, Fogo de Show. And we purchased that ourselves because we financially don't meet the requirements to get the assistance that we probably or we should be getting. So everything that we have we have purchased ourselves because we didn't get services from the state. So his iPad was just at school because he left it there over the spring break, and he hasn't been back since school was out for spring break. So if we had it, we could work totally and solely with his iPad on his communication, but the reason we can't is because it's there.
Yeah, I know that our elementary school principal has, I think, been in their building. I know that they are not reporting on a regular basis, but I don't know, mom to mom, I guess I would just say I support you 100% and perhaps requesting that someone get that iPad and set up a retrieve, you know, moment for you, because as Carrie asked and as Kim alluded to, I think at this point in time we're all just on a wait and see mode. But knowing that this is potentially just going to shift us straight into summer months, I don't know. I just would like to see you guys have clearly what is, you know, your technology. And I understand there's a lot of stuff that got left behind, but thank you for answering my question. I appreciate that. I think that that helps. I was really curious about the communication devices for nonverbal students that are either their own or assigned to by the school district. And then if you don't mind, very quickly, one last question. Knowing that your student is on an IEP, I know that the work to this point in the packets has been associated with grade levels that students are in. Just as insight into the world of special education, had you received anything from the district that was applicable for your son as a special education student? And did your conversations with the teacher allude to her providing you with individual lesson plans that would, you know, help you to provide that homeschooling based on his IEP? I know that you said that you reviewed his IEP, but I also work with parents that it can be so overwhelming. You know, the IEP is so much of the wording is not comfortable to them and they don't know how to implement that.
Right. And it in the beginning for me, it really was. I didn't understand it during his younger years in life, but so now it's been so long that I can read it and I understand it. So I do understand. Most parents don't understand it. It's just a lot of verbiage to it, but it has been. When I talked to his teacher and she was like, we're trying to get all of these things set up for them. We're trying to work on a package specifically for our students, and because all of them don't do the same types of things, their IEPs are just so broad that they don't have packages ready for them. We did receive the 12th grade package here at home, and I went through it to try to see if there were some things in there that I could work with him with from that, and there wasn't anything in that package that pertained to him or on the level that he could comprehend it. So it wasn't useful for us at all.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the time to ask questions. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Ms. Mahan? Okay, and I'm reading Mary Ann Hammond, who's with Children's Mercy, and was wondering how schools are going to accommodate IEP meetings in the spring, and also outline clearer goals that need to be worked on. It sounds like, Joetta, that is your question as well. Like, where do we go from here?
So IEPs are on a schedule, and we already had his IEP meeting for the year, which was in February. So we had it right before this happened. And so we already have the current IEP for this year. Now, it depends on when that student's IEP date comes up. And I'm not sure how they're going to go about doing that, if they're going to set up private meetings for those parents to be able to have their yearly IEP or not. That will be something that I will ask his teacher, and so I will have available for you next week to be able to share that.
Thank you. Okay, and Jenny with ETOS is going to reach out to Missouri Protection and Advocacy and other team members within ETOS to see if this has been addressed. So this is good dialogue that we can share the challenges, and then we have the right people on the call who can like rally the troops and get some answers for us. Okay. Any other questions before we switch to resource sharing? All right. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Mahan. I'm glad you were able to join the call, and I am excited that you will just be a part of Tuesday Talks in general, because it takes all of us, right? Okay, okay. Okay, I wanted to get to the share piece. Let's see. Couple of things that I wanted to bring up, resources that we could all use. School Smart KC, which supports closing the achievement gap in Kansas City Public Schools and charter schools, will be announcing a COVID-19 fund today. And that fund will support 4 key areas. And I have, if you look in click on your chat window, you will see there's an attachment in that window, and that is for you to look at the resource list of the 4 items that I'm going to share. And we'll also, after the call, we'll make sure we send that out in the recap. But I think at 11 o'clock, actually, School Smart is going to formally announce this COVID-19 fund uh, for schools to deploy to help, hopefully, with some of the issues that we found out today during this era. Also, for families who have students who are graduating in May, the most abrupt graduation ever. If you need transition navigation support, Jenny Hatfield Callan at Missouri Family to Family is available. I have her email here, and again, this is all on the resource page that's attached, and I'll send it out. And also her phone number is 1-800-444-0821. And so for families who need to work on transition and having their children placed in either a job or a training program or college opportunity, Jenny is taking calls. She's ready, willing, and able to be your transition navigation support. Another piece, there is a KU student who is doing a research study on perspective of African American learners with emotional disturbance labels on the impact chronic health conditions have on their capacity to learn in the classroom. She is looking for participants, and in exchange for participating in the study, gift cards will be given to participants. And there is an attachment with all of the details, including her contact information, and I'll be sending that out after the call today. And then finally, another a piece of regulation that is working in our favor is that parents and siblings 16 and over can get paid as personal care attendants or PCAs for persons with disabilities during this time of quarantine. And so I have some representatives from ETAS. I know that you can also contact your support coordinator for more information. And so those are some of the resources to share, but I would love to turn it over to Jenny with ETAS, if she would be so kind as to share some information that we can use during this time.
Hi. So just a few updates. So DMH provides, so as Ken said, I am a support coordinator with ETOS, and I've been with them for I'm working toward my 5th year. So never thought I would be working with individuals with disabilities. And actually, when I graduated with KU, they put out a survey asking what field you would be most likely to work in and what field you would least likely be working in. And DD was actually pretty high on that list. And so I've been very blessed. I love my population, I love my caseload, and I love my family. So I don't foresee myself going anywhere in my 10-year plan. So um, so DMH they've been putting out some updates every week, and I've been participating in those sessions and how they relate to this COVID-19 crisis. And so first, one of the things on the list that I'll talk about is about the paid staff information, but I also wanted to share that they are working on releasing some information on telehealth updates and what that looks like for individuals of families that have individuals with special needs, and trying to help eliminate the exposure to office visits so they can still get treatment. So, if they have a common cold or whatnot, then they can still be seen via telehealth and prescriptions prescribed if necessary to help them during that struggle and whatever the illness is. So that's still being worked on. They did release a little bit, but primarily their initial um, uh, their initial update for the telehealth has been primarily focused for those in group homes or residential placement. So that's still being worked on. They do update us by 4 o'clock every day, so updates come daily.
Okay.
And I can always share with Kim the updates that we get on that. So with the self-directed support, so staff can be paid, or I'm sorry, guardians and those of 16 years of age or older can be paid as staff. But from what information I'm being given from an SDS standpoint is that the guardians have to be paid through agency based. So they have to find a provider, for example, on the Missouri side, and I don't know if Jana is cross state lines or not, but Jana Home Care provides PCA hours. So staff can be hired on as a PCA staff. And I don't really know how the billing works. They're still trying to get clarification on that, but it is billed through the SDS budget. So they are working on that. They did lax that. They are working on trying to relax the qualifications for those that have med PCA. So it's medical PCA, those that require a lot more like medical oversight. For example, like injections, whether it's IM injections that they're getting, like suctioning, those kind of things. They're working on relaxing the qualifications for and training. So like CPR, first aid, those things, whenever they're wanting to get guardians to be able to provide those services for the individuals to ensure that they're staffed for health and safety reasons. Also, they've laxed on the over 40 hours a week requirement. So basically there's a cap of staff can only work 40 hours a week in this service, and they are laxing that. Now it is on an emergency needed basis. So just because they are relaxing that requirement or that restriction rather, they don't want just, Emily to be working with the individual for 50 to 80 hours that week because it's available. It has to be, you know, I would assume an emergency base would be that there's no other staff in the home kind of situation. So yes, and then Kim, like Kim said, I just wanted to make sure you point out that the importance of using your caseworker, if you have a caseworker, regardless if it's through a TCM like ETOS or KCRO, or even if it's through your catchment for mental health purposes, for medication management, you know, like comprehensive, SWOPE, or Rediscover. I would definitely utilize your caseworker if you have a caseworker. And, you know, I know a lot of families get frustrated because the caseworker might be like, well, I don't know that answer. Just remind them that, you know, we're all a team. They have a team. You know, politely just say, you know, have you reached out to your colleagues? Have you reached out to your supervisor? I don't see a problem with that. So I would definitely make sure that, you know, you guys are utilizing them if you have them. I know that there's some questions coming through about how you obtain a caseworker. So there has to be an assessment of eligibility completed. And typically those were being done by Kansas City Regional Office. There are a number of diagnoses that automatically qualify an individual for services. Now, right now, I will say that the state is in a deficit of funding and there are wait lists, but as long as the justification for services is there, you know, you might be put on a wait list for services, but as long as it's justified, you know, if it's requested and they say no, you can always appeal it. But the first step you should take in order to obtain a caseworker is to reach out to KCRO, which that number is 889-3400, and ask for their intake department, and they can do an assessment. They ask a basic assessment over the phone. Our TCM is not yet currently taking directly from intake at this point. We have to have a formal assessment completed in order to have a caseworker, but we do have individuals that are not receiving Medicaid, which I have a team member that is also on the line for this call that could chime in a little bit more on that. But if they do not have Medicaid, there's another department within ETOS that can help, which they work with providing individuals with resources and checking in and making sure that they have natural supports that they can utilize until Medicaid is obtained. And Jennifer also is our benefits specialist. So she, what she does is she helps families obtain Medicaid if they are eligible. So, oh, that was a lot.
Good stuff. And I'm thinking maybe I was taking some notes, and maybe going forward, we'll work on kind of a how-to or a 101 type of slide, so that we just kind of keep on an ongoing rolling basis that we can refer families to.
Yeah.
So we can just always have it out there.
Hey, Kim, can I say something?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. My name is Kari. I am a master civil psychologist with an organization in Basehor, Kansas. And for anybody that's needing, I don't know how many folks on here have kiddos or know kiddos who receive services, but I did want to make sure that people are aware that we have a diagnostic clinic, and we also provide the reassessments often needed for folks who are receiving services like the Vineland and others. So if anybody is needing assistance in accessing those assessments, if they're struggling to find people to do those, by all means, feel free to reach out, because we have continued business as usual. We are just altering how we're doing certain things to follow CDC guidelines, but also to help families and children continue getting the things that they need as much as we can during the time being. So
Thank you so much, Kari. Okay.
You're very welcome.
Any other resources? Okay. Um,
I know the question was asked about the IEPs, and I did send it through the chat, but Kansas City is doing IEP conferences through Zoom.
oh, okay. Okay, cool. I wanted to listen, of course, I want to, of course, invite everyone to keep coming back. And then I also, now that I am a share expert, woo-wee, I'm proud of myself. I wanted to give you all just some insight into the month of April. Even though we will be quarantined, April is going to be amazing. And so, right in front of you, I wanted to make sure that we were really responsive to the like social, emotional needs of families, as well as academic, social services. And so, we're going to have a two-part series. In April, on April the 7th, we're going to have Andy Bongi. Andy is an occupational therapist, and she's going to share 5 tips for managing challenging behaviors at home during quarantine. And not only will she share the strategies, but she's also going to coach up to 3 families. She's going to look at the behaviors, and she's going to coach them on how to come up with a behavior plan to so that the behaviors can be manageable. And so, and then they will, after they come up with the plan and implement the plan, the next week they will report on how it went, what it was like to develop the plan, implement it, and how has home life changed as a result. So that is how we will kick off April, and then we will end it with the question that Joetta asked me, and then someone else asked me after her, and that I have been asked over the years, which is, how do you have the talk about sex with your child? And I said, oh, I did. So I reached out to Dr. Daryl Lang, who is a local disability sexpert. And so Dr. Lang has, he specializes in this topic. And so he's going to talk with us and reach out to families to talk about your child's changing body and how to have the talk with your child. And he is also going to coach up to 3 families on how to have the talk with their children. And then on the and that will happen from the 21st. He'll coach them. They will have the talk, and by the 28th, he and the families will report back on how it went. So I've thought, since we are quarantined, why not have some really thoughtful discussions that we all need when we're talking about behaviors at school. We know that hormone fluctuations play a huge part in that. And so we want to use this time to make sure that we can provide some information that our families can use and coach them, so that when we are done with this quarantine, we can be united, we can be stronger, and we can be better for it. So any questions or thoughts or feedback? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for being on the call. As you know, we have a 6 o'clock call. This one will feature Mrs. Annette Irvin, who is a 20-plus year special education teacher, and she will talk about the strategies that she's using to work with families, to also to help them to really understand how to take on this role as parent and teachers. And she's telling them also, let's allow ourselves some grace as parents, so that we can also extend that same grace to our children. And so it'll be a great call to hear from a teacher on what it's like, and then some strategies for moving forward. Marianne, you had a question?
Kim, I was just going to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. Okay, I unmuted you, I think. I tried to.
You got it? Can you hear
Okay,
me?
here we go.
Oh, sorry, Kim. Hey, I
You're
was
fine.
just wondering how you would sign up for those trainings you're mentioning.
Oh, I will send them out. So just the same email that we got about these trainings, I'll send it out. And if you could send it to your networks, I would really appreciate it. We just want as many families as possible to join us so that we can just all have some useful information and to use this as kind of our sacred time. There's so many demands and pulls on us. If we can have some sacred time to kind of pour into one another, that is one of the many goals of Tuesday Talks.
Great. Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Kim,
Yes.
it's Vicki with my name spelled wrong that I did myself. How many people do you have on your list now? Do you have a long list of people, or I'm trying to think about recruiting more people for this. This is so fantastic.
Well, let's see. When you say we have a long distribution list.
Oh, good.
But I mean, we still want to grow it,
Okay.
And so, again, when you get the email, please forward it on to your network. Anyone you think needs to be on the call. That is the goal, to just bring us all together.
And is it only Missouri families, or are Kansas families welcome too?
Kansas families are welcomed as well. A lot of, our information is leaning Missouri, but we're better together. So absolutely.
Yeah, because the general information you're giving, I think, would be good for any family. Even when we're talking about Missouri schools, it seems like there's a parallel that they could take, especially about IEPs, et cetera, or working with their own kids.
Absolutely. And Kansas actually adopted the PCA, where parents and siblings over 16 and over get paid. They adopted that before Missouri. So it's kind of, let's talk to each other. Let's learn from one another. If one state adopts it, the other one is not far behind, so we can kind of be ready for it. So I absolutely think Kansas families should be here. They are more than welcome.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to share my story, and I hope that it helps somebody else. And if any of you have any questions or know someone that needs counseling, anything that I can do to help someone else, just let me know. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much, Joetta.
Appreciate you, Kim.
Oh, you're welcome. Will you be on tonight at 6?
I am gonna be on. I'm gonna I don't get off till 7, so I'm just gonna play the game and listen in, because I really did value a lot that was said today, and I appreciate it.
Oh, good. Well, everyone, thank you once again. I will be following up and sending out the video, and as well as the resource list. And we will just keep this going. And if you think of ideas, have thoughts, feel free to email me. I'm available. And we will just keep moving forward together. And you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.